Um, After about 1 hour, Raju heard some rumble in the room. So this guy Raju comes in, and I'm having a sort of a flow of conversation with the guys. So Raju comes in and says, "Hey, kya hai?" So that chap got up. He had a danda. He said, "Hey!" He put the danda down. So Raju said, "नहीं नहीं पूछता हूँ क्या है." So I said, "Raju, you please retire. I'm coping with these two guys, So he slinked back quietly. I think he was waiting to see if there would be some loud noises. But then I chatted with him for about 2 hours. Then I said, why can't I just sit down? Maybe I can make tea for you or something. And then he was greatly encouraged because I boosted his self-confidence a lot. And at the end of about 2.5 hours, he said, "Sir, actually, you're not a bad fellow." He said, actually, this medical superintendent, he is a rascal. I shot the watchman because his daughter was, he was doing something to his daughter, and he has not paid me money for that. So I said, these things happen and all that, but why don't you just take some rest, I said. So he said, but one I want to ask you one favor. If I come, you bring in another doctor here, I don't mind, you can sack him. But when I come, they should give me free treatment. I said, are you poor? He said, I'm very poor, he said. I said, if you're poor, then of course this hospital will give you free treatment. And so the guys left. And then at the crack of dawn, Raju and me left Kachua. So so that was an exciting story of what happened in... yes, and a follow-up, I will tell you a little bit of follow-up. Now the next day, the Dr. Malaga saw me, while we were going, he sort of figured out that we were alive and well. And I sent in another doctor from Tamil Nadu to take charge. But he did not move out from his bungalow. So the new doctor went and stayed in the guest house, and he was practicing. And he became very famous overnight because there was a cholera epidemic. And this guy, one chap called Dr. Kanagraj, used to rush in and take the babies and start IV drip and save a lot of children. And the people in Kachua said, Dr. Everard has come back to life again. He was the founder. He has been resurrected in the form of Dr. Kanagraj. He became very famous, and all the patients began to come to Kanagraj, and they stopped going to the old medical superintendent. And so the old medical superintendent, one night, he called Kanagraj, and he said, "You black bastard, if you stay here any longer, by tomorrow morning, your body will be here along with the others." And so that guy started shivering, and he had a Caesar to do or something, and he could not do, and the administrator called me and said, "Dr. Shah, there is another emergency in Kachua. Dr. Kanagraj is saying that he wants to go because otherwise he will be killed. So can you please come?" So I thought, and so Shalini said, "Why don't you resign this job? You're not a policeman. You're a doctor, you shouldn't be doing it." So I said, I can't resign now because that will be called. I don't mind resigning after this is over. So the next day, early morning flight, I go to Varanasi. I go straight to the hospital, get the administrator, and go to the police station and file an FIR against the medical superintendent, saying that he's threatened to murder. He had a gun and a knife. His wife had the knife, and he had the gun. So that FIR was filed, and then come back to the hospital, and another half an hour or 1 hour, 5,000 people came to the hospital. So I thought, now this is all over. Because these 5,000 people want to speak to me, and I really didn't know how to escape. But what had happened was the police had leaked the news that this doctor was torturing Dr. Kanagraj, who is the resurrected missionary, and they had come to actually support me. So I said, okay, 2 people can come and talk to me. The 2 people came and said, Dr. Shah, what do you want? Do you want us to just break his legs? Or do you want it in many parts? So I was really tempted to at least say at least one leg. But I said, it's a family quarrel. These things happen in a family, you also have families. And I think you should leave it to us. We will sort it out. They were not really happy, but they quietly left. But when Malaga saw that, he was really humbled. He took a tractor, took all his things, and he left the campus. And from that time on, he did not sort of disturb the hospital again. So I thought that was an interesting story. And mission hospital work is not usually only operating. You will hear Raju and Catherine work in the same hospital. They came into it about 10 years later, but that's a different story. But I think I'll just stop here, and thank you so much. I'm now working with an organization called International Christian Medical and Dental Association. It's a worldwide body of 75 countries, like CMAI and EMFI in India. There are 75 countries world over which are members of this organization. I enjoy working in this organization because it's very cross-cultural. I'll just tell you an interesting episode of how I started off work in South Sudan. I heard that South Sudan had become a new country and that it was completely devastated. And so I wrote to I got an email contact of the health minister of South Sudan. I sent him an email saying, I am like this, CEO of like this, and we are able to help you. Can you give me a date and time for an interview? So he said, yes, certainly you can come and see me. Then I said, send me a letter of invitation so I can get a visa. So he sent me that. Then I took a team of Sarah and Anil and some people from other countries and went and met the health minister and said, we will start an institute for you. Remember, I have no money. Organization has got no money. I have no people. But I'm telling him, we will start an institute of health sciences. So he was very keen to sign that contract. So I said, first you give me a letter of intention that you want us to do this. So he gave me a letter of intention. And with that letter of intention, I, collected some 1 million euros, and we were able to start off something. So, it's one lesson I've learned is you can build an institution by just dreaming about it and conceiving it and giving birth to it in your mind, and then, make it sort of happen. Thank you. I think they've probably had enough.
Talk with the rest of the story. Yeah, come on,
He's just telling me at lunchtime.
Raju,
He can tell you what happened in Kyrgyzstan. Tell them what happened in Kyrgyzstan.
Well, it's a very similar story. When I was stranded in New Delhi, the flight was in the morning. It was cancelled. Air India flights usually do that, and then it was scheduled to fly in the evening. The whole day I was stranded. So I thought, how can I use this opportunity? So I said I will go to the National Rural Health Mission and tell them that I have a fantastic course from Velo, which I can use for all your doctors. So when I went, they did not allow me, but I said, no, I'm an important guy. Just tell the director that I have something very interesting for him. So anyway, I got an appointment. I talked to them and they became interested. And then, that course was later on lived, used to train all the government doctors in 8 states. And similarly in Kyrgyzstan, I was there for a conference of doctors, Christian doctors and students. Then I told them I want to see the director of health medical education. They have a national director for medical education. So they said, sir, he's a very busy guy. So I said, you know, I'm also an important guy. Tell him that I want to see him. So they called him and they said, yes, yes, of course, I will see Dr. Shah. So I went and saw him, and then by the time I had seen their medical education, and you know, they don't have a hospital. Without a hospital, they are training doctors. So I told him, sir, your education, obviously, there are lacunae, and you can do with some skills training because you don't have a hospital. What about a skills lab? Do you want to sign an agreement? So he said, of course, and immediately called all the people, and then, you know, similarly, you know, he wants to give a letter of intention to start a skills lab. And I'm in the process of finding funding for it, but it probably will come. So it's a, often we take ourselves, we are very small, but our calling is a high calling. And so we should use that because we want to do good. So you have that authority. You should use that authority to sort of bring about change. Thank you.
Thank you, and nice to hear of your adventures. I think Philip has a lot of adventures. You want to build on this one?
Well, beginning itself, I should. I'm very happy that Rajaratnam and Bhaktaraj and I, our memories go back to many years ago when high school, and then we came to CMC. Before I start something, I'll maybe show an incident about Bhaktaraj, very particular. He was my roommate many a time. He used to keep everything neat, and his clothes had to be perfectly ironed and perfectly stitched. You know, one day he brought a piece of lovely cloth. He said, you know, Philip, I got this for 35 rupees. Can you imagine the bargain, fantastic bargain? And it's mentioned USA, made, made in USA. So he was very particular. He went to the tailor who stitched perfectly. He got it stitched. He had a very nice pant, wore it, and it was looking good till it came back from the Dobie. It seemed to have shrunk to half a pant. And so Bhaktaraj was very livid, and I must go in. So he went to the fellow who had sold him. He said, doctor, it is not made in United States of America. It's some United Sindhi Association. So I used to be an early bird, going to bed pretty early and getting up at odd times, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, that was my timing. Rajaratnam used to be another roommate of mine. Rajaratnam had opposite habits. So he would study late into the night, and I didn't mind the light being on. So when I got up at 3 o'clock many a time, I used to find Rajaratnam able, had finished his studies, kneeling and sleeping. So, so I had to wake him up many a time to say, go up back and sleep properly. These are lovely days of memory. Well, you know, you have to work in different hospitals. I thank God for the memory of experience and working. But I think the biggest education I had was from my wife. You know, I was friendly with her for a long time. She is from Gujarat. I'm from Tamil Nadu, good Tamilian, and had a halo image that I am a very gentle and quiet and well-behaved person. Many times asked me, how she has a different culture. She's, happy-go-lucky and all that. She cannot be controlled. How are you going to, how are you going to manage it? I said, well, after marriage, I will fix it. I had to learn a lot. Took some time, but now it's fantastic living, and we have adjusted very well. And every day is like an adventure. Every day every day is full of surprise. And thank God for her. We've had a happy life and 2 children who are a great asset. I'm living with my son now. He's an orthopedician. And my daughter is a psychologist near London. I just celebrated my 70th birthday on the 31st. Had a surprise visit from my daughter, and she left just before I started back. So, and 2 lovely grandchildren. The work has been fantastic. I'm a physician and very busy. The usual work as an MD doctor, a lot of cardiac cases, liver ulcers and so on. You're busy the whole day. When we went to Pune, I'm talking about Pune, the days in Newsweek was very challenging. But when we went to Pune, it was only a 3-4 bedded hospital, not a planned hospital, a bungalow converted into a hospital. And it was near the Seventh-day Adventist campus. And the Seventh-day Adventist campus were very possessive, They were of the idea, outsiders and insiders, that. So when we went and started working with the community, they did not like it. As it is only 4 beds, and we are admitting, Marwadis and Gujaratis. I got a letter saying, well, these hospitals are meant for, who, and how come you are admitting these people? Anyway, I dumped it very, very deserved. We had a great breakthrough. It was one day when we had only 4 beds. Suddenly, early morning, there was a big panic and a big noise, and they brought about 8 members of a family who had slept in a closed room. They had sprayed organophosphorus, which was meant for an acre of land, in that room, happily closed the windows and all that, and they went to sleep. When they got up, somebody noticed 8 convulsing people. So they rushed them. I don't know how they came to our hospital. Very rich people, Marwadis. And so that whole ground was turned like a camp. All the relatives rushed and they were wanting to know what happened. We kept them here and there. Rohini would go, with a torchlight, and I would say, give atropine this much, that much. And somehow we tried it over the crisis, and all 8 got through. And the people were mad with the lady who said, I must put all the people here. They said, there are big hospitals, KM Hospital, Ruby Hall. Why come you are bringing to this unknown hospital? She said, I'm convinced this is the place. If they live or die, it doesn't matter. I want them here. And ever since that time, we have the total cooperation of the Marwadis. They think that this hospital is their home. Although we don't have excellent facilities, but they felt very homely. They invite us for the weddings, and if you're not there, they feel kind of unhurt. And so it's been exciting. Over the years, we have slowly added here and there and everywhere, annexed another bungalow, annexed another missionaries bungalow.